Hey guys, in this video we are going to do some colour blocking and we are going to do it using nail putty from Femme Fatale Nails. So we have prepped this nail the same as we would do for any kind of enhancement, and we are just going to dehydrate this nail before we apply our first base coat. We are going to apply a nice even coat from cuticle to free edge, and we are going to cure this in our lamp for 30 seconds. We're then going to move on to forming this nail. We're going to give it a roll between our fingers. We are going to pinch together those two tabs at the bottom, and we are going to fit it to this nail. Now, as we can see, this is not going to fit comfortably, so what we are going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of tailoring, and we are going to cut a little semicircle out of that form just so that we can make sure it fits all nice and snug. We're going to line it back up under that nail, and when we're happy that it's going to fit properly, we are going to cut the two little snips down where that natural nail meets that form, and we are going to make sure everything is nice and flush and nice and snug under that natural nail, and we are going to secure this form onto the fingers. Now we're going to come in with our clear intentions. We're going to squeeze a little bit out and slice a little bit off, and we're going to place it right on that free edge where the nail meets the form. We're going to dip our brush in a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and we are going to blot it off on our kitchen roll before we put it anywhere near this product. You do not need too much isopropyl alcohol. It is purely just there so that your brush does not stick to your product. We are then going to pattern press this product into the shape of our free edge. We're going to make sure everything is nice and flush. We are just aiming for a very thin, clear platform, just so that we can cure our white from both sides and so that we have something nice to work from. We're going to cure this in our lamp for 30 seconds, and as soon as this comes out of our lamp, we are going to give it a little pinch along that free edge while it is still hot. And then once we have given it a good pinch, we are going to remove our form and we are going to move on. We're going to start with Innocent, which is my favourite pink out of the collection. We're going to take quite a small bead and we're going to place it right on that cuticle. We're going to pat it out to both sides and make sure everything is nice and flush right around that cuticle, and then what we are going to do is we are going to scoop our product backwards and we are going to start creating our first chevron. Now we do want this to be quite a lip so that we've got something for our next colour to butt up against, and we do want it to be nice and triangular. And once you are happy with the shape that you're creating and you have got a little bit of height in there, we are going to cure this in our lamp for 30 seconds. And once our first chevron is nice and cured, when it comes out of the lamp, we are going to take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and we are going to remove the sticky layer from this nail. Next, we are going to take a 150 grit file. It doesn't need to be new or massively abrasive, it's just a file, and this stuff does just file like butter. It's absolutely beautiful. And so we are going to keep our file very straight on that lip. We are literally trying to build a wall for our next colour to butt up to. We're just going to make sure that this triangle is nice and sharp, and then we are going to dust it off and we are going to come in with our white. Now here we are using the colour Virgin. We're just going to squeeze that out and scoop it off, and then we are going to put it right at the end of that first chevron that we've created. And then we're just going to use our brush and we're going to, very similarly to how we would do a French, we are going to walk it back up towards the corners of that nail where we have created our first lip. We're going to make sure that everything is nice and connected and that we don't have any gaps, and then we are going to start building our second chevron. We're going to do the same as we did the first time. We're going to start building our little wall. We're going to make sure everything is nice and high enough so that we've got enough to file into, and we're just going to make this shape the way we want to. This product gives you the option to play with it for as long as you want to, and it is not going to cure until you cure it, so we do have time to create our chevrons here to make them the shape that we want to. Then once we are happy with this, we are going to pop it in our lamp. We are going to cure this white for 1 minute in our LED, just purely because it's white. We just don't want to take any chances. We want to make sure it is nice and set before we file into it. Once our white is nice and cured, we're going to come back in again, we're going to take off that inhibition layer and we are going to file our lines nice and crisp. We're going to make sure that we've got the shape that we want in there. We're going to make sure that our triangle is nice and sharp. We're going to do exactly as we did on our last chevron. Once we're happy, once we've dusted off this nail, we're going to come back in with the colour Innocent again. We're going to scoop off a little bit and we are going to place it on one side of this chevron, and then we are going to take another small bead and we are going to make two little boobies either side of our chevrons. This just makes it easier to walk it up into the sides, because this is the point of the nail where our side walls are going to be shaped. This is the main barrel of our nail, and so we want this to be absolutely perfect. We're going to do what we did before. We're going to walk that product up into the side, make sure everything is nice and connected, and we do want to make sure that we have nice straight lines on the edges of those nails where those side walls are, and then we can start working on our chevron. We want everything to be nice and parallel to each other, but we do want to make sure that we keep the shape of this nail in here, and we're going to do as we did before. We're going to make sure we've got a nice little wall, and then we are going to pop it in our lamp and we are going to cure it for 30 seconds. Now, once this has cured, we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. We're going to wipe off that inhibition layer and we are going to file our chevron nice and straight. This is our last chevron, so we're going to make sure everything is nice and crisp and nice and pointy where that triangle is, and then once we are happy with the shape of this, we are going to move on. We're going to come back in with our last bead of virgin. We're going to scoop that off and we're going to place it right on the end of that nail there. We're going to do the same as we did before, and we're going to walk it backwards up into the corners of those chevrons. We're going to make sure that we've got no gaps and that everything is nice and flush, and then we are going to pattern press it down onto this free edge. We're going to make sure that it tapers down to a nice end, and then once we are happy with the placement of our colour, we are going to pop this back in our lamp and we are going to cure it for 1 minute. Now, once everything is cured, we are going to wipe off that inhibition layer, and then we are going to come into our filing. We're going to do as we always do. We are going to file our free edge, and then we are going to file our side walls. We are going to file straight up and down, right up into the back of that nail, straight up and down those side walls. Everything we do to one side, we do to the other. Now, this nail will take a little bit more filing because we do have a lot more height on this nail, but we are still going to do exactly the same as we always do. We're going to start the cuticle in the middle. We're going to make sure it's nice and flush in that cuticle. We're going to come up over our apex and we're going to taper down towards the tip of this nail. We're going to make sure we have that nice curve of that apex right down the middle of that nail before we move on to the sides. We're going to come up around the cuticles to the sides. We're going to make sure we taper everything up into our high point. We want to make sure that everything is nice and flush and nice in the right shape. We want a nice high apex to support the length of this nail, and we want it to taper down into a very, very thin tip. So we are going to file right the way through the barrel of this nail. We're just going to keep filing until we are happy. And then once we have finished filing, we're going to take our soft little sponge buffer and we are going to remove any imperfections. Now you can see the more you file through this nail, the crisper those lines are getting. Everything is just popping right out of that nail. This is what we want. We want everything nice and crisp and nice and sharp. And so once we are finished, there we are. We're just going to buff over it, remove those imperfections, and then we will dust off this nail and we will have a really good look at it. We're just going to wipe over this nail with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol before we come in with our home run top coat. We're going to apply a nice even coat of this from cuticle to free edge. We're just going to see our design really pop out of this nail now. We're going to cure this in our lamp for 30 seconds, and then when it came out I decided it just needed a little bit of something extra, so I took a little bit of nail glue and I've just applied a very little Swarovski crystal right in the top of that nail. And what I'm going to do to seal that in is I'm going to take a little brush and a little bit more home run top coat. I'm just going to seal around that crystal, and then I'm going to use the bigger brush of my top coat and I'm just going to go over the whole nail again, and then I will cure this again one more time in my lamp for 30 seconds. I'm going to let this cool a little bit, and then we are going to finish off this nail with a little bit of cuticle oil. And there we have it. We have created a chevron cutout nail using all Femme Fatale Nail Puttie. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I have really enjoyed creating this nail. I absolutely love it, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Don't forget to hit that button down below and subscribe if you want to see some more, and I will see you all later. Bye!